Hello. Okay, next tutorial. This look is meant to be Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas. This look has been requested by quite a lot of people, so I'm only going to shout out the first two because there are about 10 people that I've got on my list that have requested this. So the first person to request it was Mr. 123456789JJG. I'll put your name there, so thanks for the request. And the second person to request it was XFallingXSnowX. I'll put your name there, so thanks you guys. Well, thanks everyone that requested this look. I wasn't going to do it because it's been done quite a lot on YouTube and it's been done flawlessly by some amazing people. But I thought I'd give it a go and try and do it without drawing the eyes on, just to be different. Yeah, so, and I made the wig and everything and thought it'd be a nice little fun one to try. So if you'd like to see how to do this look, stay tuned. So as always, the first thing I'm going to do is block out my eyebrows because Sally does not have any. So I'm going to block those out and be right back. I'm not going to show you guys how to do it in this video because it will go on for too long, so I'll just pop a link here to one of my tutorials teaching you guys how to do that. So now my eyebrows are all covered in wax, I can start on the next step. I was going to paint the stitches on, but I think in the photos it'll look more effective if the area is raised slightly. So I'm going to be using Mayron modelling wax to get the depth, like I did for my Bride of Frankenstein tutorial. So I'm going to be applying that all here and on my eyebrow just to where the stitches are going to go. So I'm going to take a small amount of the wax like that, and I'm going to just bunch it up so I can apply it nicely. The shape I'm going for is going to be slightly smiley, not like ridiculously slow, but it's going to have a really nice curve going upwards. So I'm just going to start applying that by just pulling it across my face. So when I've got that all layered up, I can just take my spatula and I can just blend out the edges so they taper off into the skin. So when that's all blended, I can take my spatula again. Well, I use my spatula because it's really blunt edge and it's quite sharp, so I can score easier. But I mean, a toothpick could work. Just be really careful. And I'm just going to score down the centre, pressing really firmly, all the way in the middle of all this, pulling out to the edge, so it's got the line in the middle. There we are. So not that it's really showing up that well on camera, but hey ho. So you've got a really nice raised area here, just so we can put the stitches over the top to make it look like it's pulling the skin together. Right, so then I'm going to start working on the cut that goes, well, the stitches that go over the eye and under the eye. So for this, I'm going to draw it on first. So I'm going to use really light Barry M coal pencil in number 15. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, as long as it's coal, so you can wipe it off if you make a mistake. But I'm just going to draw on the shape that I want, just so I know exactly where I'm going. There we go, so it goes across the middle of the head, down the centre of the eye, and outwards again, just off the outside of the middle of the eye, going down, stopping just after the smile. We don't want them to join together. Okay, so then I'm going to just apply the wax over that and blending it outwards in exactly the same way I did the smile. There we are, so I've got my wax all applied and it's scored and the edges are blended. So now I'm going to do my foundation. So because Sally isn't really white, she's like, well she is, but she's white, but she's like a hint of blue there. So I'm going to be using Snazaroo Clown White. I'm going to be mixing about 3 parts of that to a tiny part of the Snazaroo Sky Blue watercolour that I've got. Like, when I mean a tiny part, I mean a couple of drops, because we don't want it to be like proper blue, we just want it to be, I mean, I've got this shade here, so it's like a white, I would say it's more white than blue, okay? So I'm going to apply this all over my face, making sure to press it on the eyebrows, not rub it, and make sure to just dab it onto the wax. Don't stroke it across because you'll just remove the wax. Okay? So once I did that, I just powdered it with some Grimace translucent powder just to set it all in place. And I really pressed where the wax is just to keep that steady and in place. So now I'm going to take my Snazaroo Electric Blue number 331 watercolour. It's like a really dark blue. It's really lovely. And I'm going to take an angle brush because I think I can get the most control with this. And I'm just going to go in where I scored the wax. So all down the centre of this. Then taking the same Snazaroo colour, I'm going to start drawing on the stitches. Now I'm only going to do this because I want like a guideline, but I'm also going to be sticking thread on, I think. but I want there to be a hint of blue there anyway, so I'm going to just trace these on because they're in a particular pattern and I want to get it right. Now I can start working on the fun part, the eyes. Now I was going to do the obvious and draw the eyes big, just because obviously Tim Burton characters have got the huge eyes, but I'm not a huge fan of doing looks where you have to have your eyes closed for the look to work. Yes, they look, don't get me wrong, they look amazing, and the people who have done that, absolutely brilliant, but I like using my own eyes, so I'm going to try. It's not going to look as good, I don't think, because my eyes are not, like, obviously that big, but we'll see. So I'll use false eyelashes and stuff to try and make them look a bit bigger, but hopefully it'll work. So I'm going to be using a MAC Electric Blue eyeshadow on my eyelids. I'm just going to take a small fluffy brush and I'm just going to coat that on all of my eyelids, just up to the base of my brow, just so I've drawn that line there. So I'm going to make them look a tiny bit bigger. Okay, so as you can see, I've really blended them out, so there's no edge at all, it just tapers right off. I'm going to take the same colour again, and I'm just going to go underneath the eye. I mean, the reason I'm using a small fluffy brush is because there's no stiffness to it, so it's not going to give any harsh colour, it's just going to smoky the colour, which is nice. So. And I've also just dragged the colour down the sides of my nose, leaving the middle part clean, just to make it look a bit thinner and narrower as it goes down. Right, I just realised this colour, I mean, especially when you put the blue on, just doesn't look white enough, so I'm just going to make this a bit bluer. So I'm just going to take the electric eel that I've put on my eyes and just a really medium fluffy brush, and I'm going to apply that. I might use it for contouring, actually, just to the outside of my the edge of my face, just pulling it inward, just to make this a bit bluer. Actually, while I'm bluing myself up, as it were, I'm going to do some heavy contouring, I think. So, I mean, I'm going to take my MAC eyeshadow palette in Sea and Sky. I love this so much. Okay, and I'm going to use the darker shade for my contouring. So I'm just going to do some cheekbones, and I'm going to shade my jaw a bit just to make my face look more round, and my temples as well. I'm then going to take a Barry M eyeliner pencil in, well, it's white, so yeah, and it's a kohl pencil, so it's okay for the your full fluid line of your eye. I'm just going to coat completely from the corner of my eye all the way to the edge in white, and I'm just extending it ever so slightly just outside the eye, just because I'm going to be putting the eyelashes a little bit far outwards, I think, just to make the eyes look a little bit bigger. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to apply some really thick eyelashes. Like, when I say thick, I mean super thick. Insanely thick. But I'm going to cut them into strips of about this much. So, yeah, so when I apply them, I apply them spaced apart, starting at the base where I've drawn this new white line here, and then going along, but leave a little gap in between each lash, just because that's how she looks in the film. So I'm just going to let these dry for a little bit, but when you're done, you should have something that looks like that. So I've made them look really spidery. I mean, you can use individual lashes, but I just think by cutting these up, you've got a much more of a weft to work with. So yeah, like that. What I meant to say is, when I applied my foundation and I powdered, I made sure I covered my eyelashes as well, because the idea is I'm going to go in with some mascara, but only cover the lashes that are stuck to the false eyelashes, so you shouldn't really be able to see the lashes in the middle. That's what I was trying to do. So I'm using some Maybelline Legal Length mascara, and I'm just going to use the end of the brush just to colour in my own natural lashes to stick to the fake lashes. Then I'm just going to go in with my Collection 2000 Extreme Felt Eyeliner pen and just do a quick, really thin line on the top of my eyelashes just to join them up. Make sure to extend to where you stuck the eyelash on the end of the eye. So just like that, so there's hardly any weft there at all, but it joins them all together. So I'm going to do that on the other eye. So for the lips, I'm going to be using a MAC Amplified Heartless Venomous Villain Bright Red. I use this in most of my tutorials because it's just a really nice bright red. Then I went over the lips with MAC Wicked Ways, which is another Venomous Villain product from MAC. It's like a bright red lip gloss that goes really well with the Wicked Ways, the Amplified Heartless, sorry. So now I've done that, I can add to the stitches. So I'm going to take my Snazaroo Clown White and I'm going to apply this just neatly, not mixing it with anything else. And I'm just going to use it as a highlight for my stitches. So I'm just going to, on the inside of every one of the stitches, just add a white highlight there. I just realised I forgot to do the stitches on this eye. Hilarious. So let's quickly do that. There we are. So then I'm going to take some black thread, like I did for my Bride of Frankenstein tutorial, and I'm going to cut it into strips that are exactly the same length as these stitches. And the idea is I'm going to put a tiny amount of spirit gum, which is just like a really strong adhesive, and same that I used on my eyebrows, and on both ends, and then stick them down over the top of each stitch just to make them a bit more 3D. There we are. So it just adds quite a bit of depth to it. Yeah. So the next step involves my painting my chest. So I had to put the costume on so I know whereabouts I'm going to be painting. So I'm going to paint all of my neck and this whole area here in the same foundation I used for my face. There we are. So taking the same Snazaroo watercolour that I used for the lines and the stitches on my face, I'm going to do exactly the same on my neck. So she's got one stitch going like that, and she's got one going down the centre of her neck, and she's got one that starts higher and goes lower across the middle way of her chest. So then you just do the crisscrosses for the stitches as before. And then we do exactly the same again with the highlighting with the Snazaroo Crayon White and the sticking down the thread with spirit gum. For the hair, what I'm going to do is, what I've done is I've made my own wig. Now I'll put a link here to how I make my woolen wigs, because I did a tutorial on it a while ago, because I usually make these for my scary clown tutorials. But I thought, I mean, the wig that come with this costume was it was just synthetic hair, and I thought, well, I'd rather it be more like a doll because she's a rag doll, and yeah, so this is what I've come up with. So I've used bright red wool and made it really long, and hopefully it will look the part. And that's what the wig looks like on. So that's my homemade wig. I popped in 2 white out contact lenses that don't have any edges to them, just to make it look like my eyes are just 2 dots, just like the film. The costume I actually got off Amazon. I've edited it quite a bit though, because it had a neck piece on and sleeves and that, and I've cut that all off, and yeah. Obviously if you're going to wear this look out, you would paint all the skin that's on show, like my arms and your nails and everything, but like you paint red nails and stuff like that. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I think I'm just going to focus on this part here. But yeah, that's it. That's my Sally tutorial. So I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like it, make sure to rate, comment, subscribe, the usual. So yeah, so until next time, bye.